70 in Anaheim, 68 in Santa Ana, 84 in downtown LA, 82 degrees in Burbank. KFI is the talk station that does live local news on the hour, on the half, when it breaks, and anytime online at KFI AM640.com. I'm Terry Ray Elmer, KFI News.
Bush is on television. Why?
Well, that's
He's
old.
going to be nice to Then he's going to be nice to Obama.
A smooth transition. That was this morning.
Isn't he done? Obama's president today, right?
No, you gotta wait.
Gotta wait?
January 20th or something.
Oh, all right. KFI AM640, more stimulating talk radio. The John and Ken Show. John Cobalt and Ken Shampoo. Welcome, everybody.
Of course, today when I said, oh, no, one of his top picks and his first pick might be this Rahm Emanuel guy, I'm thinking, oh, that's a name that Middle America will just really chew up.
He's a Clinton guy.
Yeah, he's a member of Congress, and he was in the Clinton administration.
Yeah, all the Clinton people are going to come back now for another round. You're going to see.
But he's actually Jewish, so, that's his roots. His father was born in Jerusalem.
How about Secretary of State John Kerry?
I heard that. He volunteered?
Yeah. He is, quote, actively seeking the position, I believe was how it
Oh, nobody's asked him.
Right.
He just said, he's jumping up and down saying, pick me, pick me.
He wasn't really out there much for Obama. I didn't see him. I know he was
nobody
campaigning.
Nobody wants to see him again.
No, I think Hillary's going to the Supreme Court, though. He can get rid of her.
Are you paying?
Yeah, he doesn't want her around in 4 years.
Well, somebody has to die first.
Well, no. Stevens is going to resign. Actually, he's been hanging on, waiting for a Democrat to get back in the White House. He's like 90. He's going to resign.
John Paul Stevens.
Yeah, he's been around since
Do you know who nominated him?
Ford.
Yeah, Ford.
Oh, I know that.
Ford nominated the most liberal judge on the court.
Well, and then Bush Sr. really nominated Souter and regrets that to this day because he does tend to vote with the liberal wing.
That's right. So
sometimes that happens.
You don't know what you're going to get.
All right, now we're going to talk about the election, including some votes on the propositions, especially one that stunned me a bit. That freaking Measure R.
Oh, God, that was so stupid.
To raise the sales tax in L.A. County, it'll be 8.75% to build the subway to the sea. A 30-year boondoggle.
You people.
It's
a
30-year sales tax. 30 years.
I cannot believe, as much as everybody was fighting to stop the state sales tax increase, the stupid people of Los Angeles County go to the polls and by a 2-to-1 majority, and you needed a 2-to-1 majority.
And it just made it.
You're raising the sales tax by a half penny for the next 30 years. You already had one of the highest sales taxes in the country. Now it's another half point, and it's for one of the biggest boondoggles that we'll see in our lifetime. It's into the black hole of the MTA, the Metropolitan Transit Authority. It couldn't be stupider. It could not be stupider.
And they're meeting in Sacramento because we still have a budget crisis. Who knows if they'll come up with a sales tax idea? That that's our Schwarzenegger's 3-year temporary idea.
Then it's going to be 9.75%?
Yeah, because it's a 1 cent.
Do people read when they go to the ballot? Do they read?
No, idiots.
They wrote.
I don't like getting stuck in traffic. You know what? It's got very little to do with cars too. We'll tell you how little is going to go to road work, and it's all up to the MTA to spend this money.
Yeah,
the MTA. That's mass transit. You idiots. Understand that. I read quotes from a couple of people that drive their cars now, and they can't wait because if the subway's finished, they can ride from like Pasadena to Santa Monica on the subway. Yeah, in 30 years.
Not in your lifetime.
No.
You'll have
the woman in the story's like 35 years old. Should be in their retirement.
Yeah. Your grandkid is going to wheel you to the subway station in Pasadena. You people fool. I can't believe how people get fooled by promises. Over and over and over again, they get fooled, whether it's by propositions, politicians. They actually believe what these people say. They actually believe what they read in the voting booth. And then they get boned. Unbelievable.
But we had a suspenseful little cliffhanger for you today. We were expecting the spokeshole for Los Angeles Mayor Tony Villar, as we call him here on the John and Ken Show. His name is Matt Szabo, to be in studio with proof of the million potholes.
Where is he?
Can we play let's play the short clip of him promising to be in here at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, November 5th. The documentation, it says pothole, date it was called in, date it was filled.
I think we can certainly do that.
Oh,
we really can. I mean, if you give me a little bit, I mean,
how long do you want?
If you give me a week, I could give you the full documentation.
All right, then
come
in a week from today would be 3 o'clock. Tuesday's
well,
election
maybe not
day.
election day. Maybe.
All right, Wednesday, the day after election day.
All right.
Wednesday, November 5th. All right, see you then.
Okay. All right.
It is Wednesday, November 5th, 2008. We have a new president, but we don't have Matt Szabo in studio. However, we do have assistant producer Jason Stein to tell you the story And we'll add, we're expecting he's going to be here at 5 o'clock. We'll give you more on that in a moment, but we'll tell you what he's going to bring with him.
All right, so what's the story? You called him today?
I did. And he probably should have asked for a little bit more than a week because he said he can get the $1 million, but it's going to take maybe roughly 10 weeks.
10 weeks?
10 weeks for the full list, 1 million, potholes only.
Potholes only.
Location, date it was filled, etc.
And why does it take 10 weeks?
Well, they have, according to Matt Szabo, they have tons and tons of paperwork. And from that paperwork, they have to pull out or extrapolate the pothole information.
Or do they need 10 weeks to falsify the paperwork?
Well, he's very confident that he can get the $1 million.
Because
we're checking on the paperwork.
A week and a day ago, he was very confident that he could bring in 1 million potholes documented. And now we're getting how many? How many we're getting?
Roughly 58,000.
Which is full documentation for roughly 58,000 he's bringing at 5 o'clock.
Exactly.
That's 5.8% of 1 million.
It's a sample.
And he can really get the rest done in 9 more weeks or 10 weeks?
And they're going to spend the time. They're going to spend the time doing this?
Yep. I don't think Matt Szabo himself is doing this, but he's got people.
They got a lot of free time there.
You're a city taxpayer, John, so they're working for you.
I want to see the proof because I'm positive they're lying.
I'm
absolutely sure that they're lying, and I can't believe that he made it sound like it was no problem. He goes, give me a week. Now, give me a week, and he's going to give us 5.8% of the total. Now, he didn't know that during the week. It just suddenly came up today because you guys have been calling him, and we hadn't heard from him for a few days. Why didn't he call in earlier and say, guys, I didn't realize?
He probably forgot. And
so we're kind of offered the option to just wait 10 weeks and he'll come back with everything or take what he has today and then the rest later.
Well, we want the million. I mean, if he wants to come in and bring the 50 and 58,000, then we'll take it. But that to me raises my suspicions. I had 0% belief that he was going to walk in here with documentation for 1 million potholes. 0%. Not even a little bit. I knew when I woke up this morning, it's like that guy's going to weasel out or he's going to bring in something far short because they didn't do it. See, now he put himself, and this is a spokeshole, should never do this to his boss. He's put himself in a corner that he can't extricate himself from. He can't prove this, but he's made a blatant promise to prove it. So now what was 1 week has become 10 weeks. I mean, a classic stall tactic. Then what happens in 10 weeks?
He'll bring all 1 million potholes.
No, he won't. He'll never bring in 1 million potholes because they never did it.
Now, he's promising, Jason, that these are going to be this 58,000 will be actual potholes filled, not cracks.
Mm-hmm. I made that very clear to him.
Right.
We're only interested in potholes.
The dictionary definition of potholes, not the Tony Villar.
They're calling it 1 million potholes.
Because even in their press release, they didn't
It's
say.
Operation Pothole, right.
But in their press release, way down, if you read, they started saying, well, including, what was the word he used? Like degraded surfaces, I think, and cracks. They had a couple of other terms for potholes, but cracks aren't potholes. Degraded surfaces aren't potholes. All right, so you think he's now? Why is he in here at 3 with the 58,000? What's holding that up?
Oh, he spoke with Ray about that. He has some sort of meeting to go to, so he pushed it back.
Yeah, he called sometime between 2 and 3 to say that he got called into an emergency meeting with the mayor.
But he ran out of breath strips?
About working out some more TV time.
I am the pothole king.
There he is. So he asked if he could come later in the show, and now we're going for 5 o'clock.
Because Villar probably...
It's a cliffhanger. We got another 2 hours.
Villar probably wants a VIP invitation to the inauguration. He probably wants
you think they're working fast and furious with Obama?
Villar's probably lobbying to get some kind of front row seat.
All that amazing campaigning he did at the end there.
So where'd he go? To New Mexico once?
He won New Mexico, didn't he? Obama.
I think he was already winning New Mexico.
I think he went to Colorado, which was also in Obama's column.
Well, everything was in Obama's column. All right, so 5 o'clock?
Yeah.
58,000, which is 942,000 potholes less than the million they promised. But, of course, we told you this because we told you when he adopted his million tree program and made his million tree promise, he only planted 430 trees. So this is a history. Everything's a million. It's like last night. Oh, there's 1 million people watching Obama in Grant Park.
Supposedly there was only 100 or 200,000.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw that when I got home. I heard that the crowd was only 200 and some odd thousand.
Oh, it's 1 million. Everything's 1 million now. Yeah, unless you count it.
You just can't say that like we have 1 million listeners.
Well, we actually do.
You going to bring in proof?
I can.
You going to bring in 1 million people?
I can fill a studio with 1 million people.
That'll be a clown car. All right, when we come back, we'll start to talk about last night's results. Obviously, Obama's victory, the propositions, and eventually we'll work our way to Measure R. You in L.A. County, 2/3 of you agreed to give up another 50 cents in sales tax money. We're going to be at 8.75% for the next 30 years.
The collective IQ of L.A. County is among the dumbest in the nation.
With
Honestly.
This promise of
oh my God,
improvements in transportation. We're going to give you the details, especially you dumb nuts that voted for this, because most of it is not going, at least right away, to anything to do with the roads or highways. No, it's going to these mass transit projects, and you'll hear about it.
Yeah, the illegal alien.
Oh, that's right. And we'll tell you how much the county spends every year on illegal alien health care and welfare. That's where the money should have come from, not raising our taxes.
It's the John and Ken Show on KFI AM640, more stimulating talk radio.
Cutting through the crap so you don't have to.
KFI AM640, more stimulating talk radio.
Coming up tonight, it's Kennedy and Suits from 7 to 10. We'll be talking about the post-election hangover and what will the next 4 years of a Barack Obama presidency look like for you.
Get ready for one-party rule and what's next for Joe the Plumber.
Kennedy and Suits tonight at 7.
How long do you want?
If you give me a week.
That was Matt Szabo. Said in a week he'd have proof of 1 million potholes that Tony Villar's crews had filled. He's supposed to come on at 5 o'clock, but he only has documentation for 58,000. He has no documentation, apparently, for 94.2% of the potholes they claim they filled. Claims they need more time, 10 weeks. All right, we'll see. See if he shows up at 5 o'clock. He's in an emergency meeting now with Tony Villar, apparently.
I am the pothole king.
Villar ran out of skin cream or something, so he had to go to Rite Aid and buy some more.
Obama won the popular vote nationwide by about 7 million. Over about 120 million people voted. This is with most of the results in. There's a couple of states that are still leaning one way or the other. That's Missouri and North Carolina.
The Rasmussen tracking poll that I looked at every day.
Yes.
And every night they would call 1,000 people. And they'd have a 3,000-person rolling average. They nailed it. 52.46 was their last number.
6%. That is, I heard 6 or 7% is what the poll of polls were saying.
If you averaged all the poll of polls, you know what's really funny? Fox News had it at +3. The New York Times had it like +13.
Oh, Fox News' own poll?
Yeah, Fox News is loud.
You don't want to discourage your base. And the
How'd
Times,
that happen?
The Times, like the L.A. Times, right?
Right, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
See, I really like the nonpartisan independent polling companies. The ones who are affiliated with these news networks or newspapers, I trust them a lot less over the years.
Best projections right now tell us that Democrats will have 56 seats in the Senate, although there are still 4 undecided, included, I guess, the comedian Al Franken's challenging the results in Minnesota, where he lost to the Republican incumbent.
He lost by a tiny amount all night. It looked like we were going to have a Senator Al Franken, which really shouldn't happen. No, seriously. Don't you think America's a little too free if Al Franken...
Stuart Smiley he played on Saturday Night Live? I'm good enough, I'm strong enough, and people like me.
That's it. No, really. I mean,
it's a great character.
Don't we have to start tightening up the qualifications if Al Franken can be a senator? That's too much.
You know what his opponent did? He brought up some of Al Franken's comedic writings from his past, and he's always had political leanings, and they were full of obscenities.
Oh, well, yeah.
And his opponent was saying, you really want this guy in the Senate? Listen to the kind of words he uses and his real thoughts.
Except all these bastards talk like that behind the scenes, you know? That's no different than McCain screaming and cursing F you at everybody in sight.
So the way I read this, they could still get to 60 if they got all 4 seats.
Yeah, but what I saw this morning...
39 not up for re-election, 17 projected to be won by Democrats, and 4 undecided.
But the 4 seats, the Republicans all had small leads. They were winning each one of the...
undecided?
Of the undecided seats, yeah. By small amounts, and there's still plenty of absentee ballots to be counted, I imagine, everywhere. I mean, there's going to be millions more votes counted.
In the House of Representatives, the Republicans are going to drop pretty much from 199 to 173. So that's 26 seats lost, although there's still 8 seats still undecided, with Democrats controlling 254. That is a sizable majority. David Dreyer, though, hung on. He did win his seat back. And all the Republicans here in Southern California that they thought might be in danger, like Brian Bilbray, a frequent guest of the show, he also held on to his seat.
They're so impotent now.
The Republicans?
Yeah, they're really impotent.
Tom McClintock is clinging to a lead of just 451 votes in trying to get to Congress from District 4 up in Northern California against Charlie Brown.
Tom McClintock has the toughest time breaking out beyond being a state assemblyman or senator. He has run for Congress before and lost. He's run for lieutenant governor and lost. He ran for
governor in the recall.
Governor in the recall. And I also think, didn't he run for one of those
other statewide positions?
Yeah, he ran for something else, too.
I don't remember.
I remember. Yeah. And he can't break out. This is a district where Republicans have a 15-point voter registration advantage over Democrats, and he still can't get a clear win.
Well, it seems like it should be an automatic win if you run against somebody named Charlie Brown.
It does. You know? However, McClintock was trying to get the seat held by a Republican, John Doolittle. However, this is not where McClintock had his home base. As you know, his state Senate seat was in, Simi Valley, Thousand Oaks.
But
so this was far from, although he's lived up here because he's been in Sacramento for 22 years, he's lived in this district.
Yeah.
And he was up against a guy who spent 26 years in the Air Force. Had quite a military background, retired in 1998 as lieutenant colonel.
See, he wasn't your typical wiener Democrat.
And the Democrats spent a lot of money in this race to try to get this seat. However, McClintock's hanging on, although the latest I read is they may not have a clear winner until Thanksgiving.
Well, they've got thousands of ballots. He's up by 451, but there are thousands of ballots left, and who knows how those will break.
There's no way. It's better. Each county must check provisional ballots and late absentee ballots dropped off at the polls.
But this is a real study because there's a lot of McClintock fans in the KFI audience, and we still get emails saying, "Why didn't you support him, for governor?" And the problem is he has trouble winning elections because he is so. He's not a warm, embracing presence.
No. He knows government inside and out, especially fiscally.
He's a very smart guy, and I agree with much of what he says. But when it comes to running for office, he can't seem to win. And even if he wins this one...
He picked a bad time, too, though. This is the Democrat year nationally.
Yeah, but
it just was.
He's run before. How could you not win lieutenant governor?
It just bought people out who wanted to change and wanted a Democrat in Congress and a Democrat in the White House.
So McClintock appeals to a specific type of person, but it's generally not a majority type of person.
All right, when we come back...
Even in the Republican Party, apparently.
We'll move to the statewide propositions, and sure enough, you voted for more borrowing. Damn you! I'm just angry.
I am, too.
I'm really angry
I was
today.
shocked this morning when I saw I mean, several of the bond measures statewide won. And then
that high-speed rail thing won.
The high-speed rail!
Us.
Are you people crazy? You're crazy. How could you sit here and try to fight to stop these tax increases when you keep borrowing more money?
Simpletons who are annoyed by heavy traffic and think anything that's on the ballot that proposes to change their lives as far as traffic is concerned, even if they'll never use it.
You can't. I don't know. We'll get into this.
They want to ride the train.
Hey, look, it's a train.
It'll be fun.
It goes real fast, Mommy.
So 7 out of 12 went our way in terms of the way we'd hoped the vote would come out, but that's not good enough. We'll tell you when we come back what they were.
Terry Railmer has the news now on the John and Ken Show on KFI AM640, more stimulating talk radio.
San Francisco City Attorney's Office says it's filing a lawsuit against Proposition 8.
This is about the definition of equal protection of the law. That is a cornerstone of the California Constitution. It is what separates constitutional democracy from mob rule tyranny.
Matt Dorsey is a spokesman for San Francisco City Attorney Dennis Herrera. He says if Prop 8 is allowed to stand, it could endanger fundamental rights for any minority in the state. He also says the Constitution can't be changed by a simple majority. A Beverly Hills couple that got married after the marriage license were given out to gay couples has also filed a lawsuit. LA County has suspended marriage licenses for same-sex couples because of Prop 8 passing. A statement from the registrar's office says constitutional amendments approved by voters take effect the day after the election. Apparently, the suspension stays in effect until a court or state agency tells the registrar's office differently. Kern County has also suspended the licenses.
As an African American, I'm especially proud.
Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice congratulated Barack Obama on his big win. She says the U.S. has been through a long journey trying to overcome racism.
That work is not done, but yesterday was obviously an extraordinary step forward.
Reporters at the State Department say Rice seemed a little teary when she talked to them. The top House Democrat is raising the idea again of another economic stimulus package this year. Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she hopes the House can return for a lame duck session to pass the bill.
Since September 26th, our economic crisis has only worsened. The need for more has grown.
White House says it's against any package that involves huge amounts of government spending. Republicans have been asking for tax cuts or other growth policies. More news coming up after we check the freeways.
Slow on the 10. It's going to start to really get heavy at Santa Anita, cross past the area of Baldwin Park Boulevard, where we had some earlier problems with a crash and a couch out in lane, so that's been kind of busy. Busy on the 105 eastbound from the 110. That's pretty slow this afternoon. Over to a problem in Long Beach Boulevard. That's been slowing you down to that spot. Then it picks up nicely as you head over toward the 605. Not too bad northbound on the 605, but the southbound side will be busy from Washington Boulevard. If you see a problem, we want to hear about it on the Ralph Saving You Time traffic line, 888-500-5003. Mike Nolan, KFI Traffic.
KFI News Time is 3:32. Some Republican lawmakers say Obama's win is the Republicans' fault.
State Insurance Commissioner Steve Poizner says he hopes Republicans got the message last night.
That's our lesson, is what we need Republican leaders who focus on these basic fiscal conservative principles that will get us back to a healthy, growing economy.
He's equally critical of California's Republicans.
I mean, is it possible that you guys are ever going to come together on anything?
They'll have to come together. I mean, we're really at a train wreck.
Congressman Dana Rohrabacher didn't sugarcoat it either.
I'm sure I must have hurt some feelings, but you know what? It's time that we face reality, and if it means hurting people's feelings, we can't sit back and let someone as far left as Obama take over the United States government because we are afraid to criticize our own leaders and recognize their shortcomings.
In fact, he told me Ronald Reagan's spinning in his grave after what the current GOP has done to Reagan's hard work.
And he handed over a sound economy and a secure country, and George Bush and John McCain and the Karl Roves of this world have driven it into the ground and squandered this legacy.
In Irvine, Steve Gregory, KFI News.
Southland weather from KFI. Partly cloudy and windy the rest of the day. Clear overnight, lows in the 50s. Sunny and windy tomorrow. 72 degrees in Burbank. The Dow was down 486 points. The S&P 500 was down 53. I'm Terry Ray Elmer in the KFI newsroom.
KFI AM640, more stimulating talk radio. It is the John and Ken Show.
Yeah, and guess what? After 4 o'clock, the most important witness for the prosecution finally took the stand down there in Santa Ana, and that's Don Heidel. So we'll get the lowdown from Eric Leonard.
The great sex and corruption trial of Mike Corona.
What I love about this, and I'll just give you a little preview, I mean, they met in February of 1998, and almost immediately Corona's like, get me $30,000.
And they did. What is Corona?
But you're limited to $1,000 per individual, so they had to work up a scam.
You know what? We had lunch with Mike Corona once. I think we've mentioned this a couple of times.
Yeah, I don't remember much about that. Was he that charismatic to you? Heidel said he was.
I was just going to say that. I found nothing charismatic or interesting about him.
No.
The lunch was entirely unmemorable. We walked away wondering why they bothered. I didn't. This was before all the bad stories came out.
You're right. We did not understand the purpose of it.
No elected official has ever invited us out to lunch before
now, was
or
this
since.
Before the Runyon kidnapping? I couldn't remember that. I think it was.
I don't remember.
I think it was.
Somebody.
I think he was already trying to position himself with the media, and we were part of that.
Yeah, may have been. And I don't know.
He had his eyes on bigger things.
And I made me wonder if something ugly was coming out in the news about him, and he was trying to get us to be his pals so we wouldn't go too hard on him.
Thank you, KFI.
Which, of course, would never happen. We would never develop a relationship with any politician and then protect them on the air. That's just impossible.
Not even if your higher-ups tell you to, like many emails say?
No. No, we even defy the orders of corporate Clear Channel.
Oh, and hang in there. At 6 o'clock, we are going to have an hour of election rage. And wait for it, and jubilation.
That's right.
There are some people that are very happy with last night's results, particularly as concerns Obama.
We're going to have a special line open for Obama jubilation.
We will. A separate line?
Hey,
do we have a new phone number?
A separate but equal line.
The Obama jubilation line?
That's right.
Yes. A lot of people are not happy with last night's result, Terry Ray, but there are some that are very thrilled.
Oh, I know.
She knows.
All right. So anyway, we'll get that's all to come. And then supposedly Matt Szabo, the spokeshole for Mayor Villar, with his 58,000
potholes.
Pothole proof. Not 1 million potholes. 58,000.
Yes, with an explanation, an asterisk.
Yeah, with a dog ate the homework excuse.
He's going to come up at 5. We're expecting. We'll see. There might be another emergency meeting. That's why he wasn't here at 3.
That's right. Could be out of skin cream and breath strips. So
last skin cream. Yes, you're glowing. What was that line Ryan Seacrest used about clothing?
About his skin.
Oh, about clothing. What are you wearing? That was it.
Oh, yeah, what are you wearing?
Like they asked on the red carpet.
Yeah, what designer makes your suits?
How do you keep everyone's spirit up?
What are you going to be for Halloween? Do you sleep? Do you dream?
Ryan gave Obama that last boost he needed interviewing him on Halloween, didn't he now?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Let's go through the statewide votes on the propositions, and the first one up is one we did spend some time on last week because we thought it was going to be an outrageous boondoggle. That was to borrow $10 billion in bonds. It'll cost you almost $20 billion over the next 20 years to pay back. And that's right. You're going to have to pay. They're going to have to find this somewhere in this already stretched budget to pay off these bonds. This is not free money. This is to build a high-speed rail system.
Why did people do this?
52.3% to 47.7%, decent margin. Pretty much like Obama's.
Why did you vote for the high-speed rail line? Why did you do that?
I don't know.
No, most people aren't going to ever take a high-speed rail to San Francisco.
And it's not going to be 2.5 hours like they say.
It's going to take many, many years to build. It's going to cost way more money. It's not going to be as fast as they're promising. It was just one of these, pie-in-the-sky stupid ideas in a time where we have no money. I am convinced. I almost want to pay for a poll on this. People do not know what the word bond means. They do not equate it with borrowing. I've said this for years, and every year it proves true. If these measures actually said we're going to borrow, I think all this stuff would be voted down.
Yeah, bond is a soft word. People might think of U.S. savings bonds. It's some sort of investment, they think.
You're borrowing money, and the entity you're borrowing from holds a bond. But in order to get the money, you borrow it.
You pay principal and interest back. It's like a mortgage.
Yeah, then you're paying. And we're out of money, and the state can't seem to borrow any more money anyway. They were locked out of the credit markets for the last couple of months. So I don't know where they'd even go to borrow this. If they do go to borrow this, they got to pay interest on it. Then they got to take the interest payments out of the general treasury.
And
we're already broke there.
Yeah,
it's like getting another credit card when you've maxed out on 22 other credit cards.
One of the problems we realized last summer with the whole freaking budget debate is we're locked into some of this proposition spending. You did it again. Now they have to put aside money to spend on the bond retirement debt. And you locked us into this for another 20 years. Thank you very much. Thank you, yes, voters, idiots.
Well, I mean, what's the point of fighting against taxes? At some point, you can't make an argument against taxes if there's these huge interest payments to pay.
And do you know how much we borrowed since Schwarzenegger became governor? Many billions. Now you've added another $10 billion.
There was no need for this. There's not going to be any great market to go on a high-speed rail from here to San Francisco. There just isn't. And even if there was, it's going to be very costly. You know what they're going to do? They're going to half build it and then come back and say, well, we needed more money than this, and now we have it half built, and we need another $10 billion.
You're right. It's funny you said that because I was reading stories about these stadiums they're building in New York City for the Yankees and the Mets, and they're going to cost a lot more than originally projected. This stuff happens.
Everything costs more than you project. Everything does.
Yeah, why would you overproject? You'd scare people off from voting for the bond if you said, it's $30 billion we're going to need. Tell them $10 billion, and then, Now,
you know what's something? Californians are moderately conservative when it comes to a lot of propositions along the lines of immigration or affirmative action, bilingual education. Look at this gay marriage ban. It actually passed. I think everybody in the country is shocked that in California, gay
marriages aren't going to be allowed, even though people are already married.
Which, by the way, we could talk about this later. I thought it was a pretty mean thing to do.
I think it's 18,000 couples?
I think it's pretty nasty to take away a marriage from 18,000 couples.
But they look at it that an activist judge did that. They didn't do it. They voted against it in 2000. That's what they thought.
I don't care what the reasoning is. It makes gay people very happy. It doesn't affect your life at all. That's pretty nasty. Not only to take rights away from people who already had it, but also prevent other people from getting married. It's just foul.
Well, I heard one of the supporters say that you shouldn't say that and you shouldn't feel that way because the proposition says they can still keep their civil unions. So they still get the
I do feel
benefits.
that way, and I don't care what these spokesholes say. It was a nasty, vindictive, ridiculous reaction. And what I noticed in the exit polling is that young people under 30 supported it far more than old people. It's a real generational thing. And people are still locked into, I guess the older people locked into a
So if they can find a way to bring it back, eventually one day it'll pass.
I hope so. That was a foul vote.
There's already legal challenges to it, which you've heard on the news. And that brings us to Proposition 2, because I heard one lady that Terry Ray played on the news talking about Proposition 8, that now chickens have more rights than gay people.
Yeah.
Which is funny. I mean, it's not that chickens are getting married.
No,
Can chickens get married?
Chickens got the right to marry.
Oh, that was
Proposition
Prop
2.
two?
You don't read the
I
details.
didn't know that.
No.
No, it says here caging practices that prevent them from lying down, standing up, turning around, or extending their limbs.
Poultry unions are now legal.
Poultry? And only a chicken and a chicken?
That's why they want,
or can a chicken has to marry a rooster?
No, that's a chicken marriage.
You can have
They
lesbian...
can't intermarry with different breeds of chickens, though.
The laying hens can marry each other?
Yes.
Oh, gay chickens are.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
Protected?
Roosters are the males, right?
Yes.
Right.
They're protected.
It's rooster, chicken, and the traditional chicken rooster
Exactly.
marriage. But there's no rooster goat marriages.
It's all about the chicks.
That's right.
You also approved $1 billion in bonds for the children's hospitals. Thank you very much.
Do you
As we
know,
pointed out the other day, there's already unspent money.
We've already borrowed billions of dollars for children's hospitals, and the money hasn't even been borrowed yet. Or if it's been borrowed, it hasn't been spent. Why do you keep doing this? And you know what? The only thing is they're not going to be able to borrow this much money because no one wants to lend California the money. These bonds are going to sit there. The money will be unborrowed and unspent for many years. Who knows when they'll get around to these projects? But you're burdening future generations with an awful bill for a lot of stuff that just flat out isn't needed. They could put children's hospitals on the ballot every 6 months, and every time it would pass. We probably have enough borrowed money to build 5,000 children's hospitals. And even if you knew there were 5,000 children's hospitals, you'd still vote to borrow more money for the next 1,000.
Aren't propositions great?
I mean, this is such lunacy. You see children, animals. Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a school bond measure that L.A. Unified got passed.
Yeah, that got passed for school construction.
School construction.
Even though enrollment is dropping.
They're spending, what did they spend, like $250 million on a school near downtown Los Angeles, the one with the weird sculpture that overlooks the 101 freeway?
Yes.
You remember the Belmont Learning Center
and
from a few years?
Way over budget, that one.
Yeah, and the Belmont Learning Center that they spent for another $250 million, and they've changed the name because the Belmont Learning Center got such a bad stink to it from all the overspending. Why do you do this? Enrollment is shrinking.
It's a $7 billion bond measure for L.A. Unified.
That's going to come out of your taxes.
Now,
and then you're going to sit there saying, oh, I'm overtaxed. Or maybe people don't feel overtaxed anymore. You know, they voted for Obama. I guess everybody's going to want more taxes.
You're right. That's going to go on your property tax bill.
Yeah.
The extra assessments. You're right. $7 billion Measure Q. Oh, I thought that was just city people. That's for the county. Well, I voted no, but I didn't really realize that. And the Los Angeles Community College bond, Measure J, also passed. More borrowing.
And the thing is, in the news every day, and I've got to assume that people who vote pay some attention to the news, because the people who really don't pay attention don't vote. Like almost two-thirds of the country voted for the presidential election, two-thirds of eligible voters.
I heard in L.A. County it was 82%.
Yeah. So you must have heard that we're broke, badly broke. You must have heard that we've borrowed way too much money, that no one will loan us any more money. You must have heard that we're fighting to prevent further taxation, and we're already the highest taxed state in the nation in many categories. And none of this filters through when you're punching the yes or no on the ballot. I don't get it. Nobody explains this stuff other than if you see schools, children, police, hospitals, animals.
What did I
see?
see?
People's brains freeze up.
don't they think that 2 million first-time voters showed up here in California? I mean, they probably voted for a lot of these things because they don't even know what they're doing.
Yeah, I know. This is why I don't...
They were there for Obama and the Democrats, and they just voted all the spending and bonds in.
My heart doesn't swell up with patriotic fervor because we have so many first-time voters. You know what you're getting with first-time voters? You're getting morons who know nothing, who shouldn't be allowed to vote.
Hey, I watched the TV. I saw the commercials. Yeah. I know the issue.
That's right. The people actually believe radio and television commercials. People, there's a... You know, if I was in charge of things, I'd be taking away the vote from so many millions of people.
All right,
because you're too dumb and uninformed.
We'll go through the rest of the propositions quickly when we come back, and then after 4 o'clock, Eric Leonard will be here to tell us about Don Heidel finally testifying in the Mike Corona trial.
On the John and Ken Show on KFI AM640, more stimulating talk radio.
We call it more stimulating talk radio because it is.
KFI AM640. KFI.
John and Ken Show, John Cobell and Ken Champeau, 355 on KFI. Coming up, Mike Corona trial, the sex and corruption, the payoffs, the filth, the slime with Eric Leonard. Don Heidel was supposed to be on the stand today.
No, he took the stand, and Eric will give us a rundown as to what he had to say. Finishing up the propositions, and again, out of the 12 statewide, we were on the winning side, 7 out of 12. However, as we told you, the borrowing of noises. Interesting that the abortion notification, Proposition 4, failed. You would think because the gay marriage passed that might have had coattails. However, if you look at the statistic that blacks voted for the gay marriage ban 70-30, I would not be surprised if they didn't follow that and vote for Prop 4, which was the consent law.
You know, the gay thing is a strange mixture of votes. Yeah, you know, the conservative Christians push these bills, but you have a lot of different people. I mean, I talk to people, and people that I wouldn't have expected to object to gay marriage do. It's just their own peculiar bias that they have. They just don't like the idea, even though they're not particularly conservative or Christian in other ways. But they just run up against that one. It's like, they can't get their mind around it. But I tell you, white people, according to the exit polls, white people voted in favor of gay marriage. It was the blacks who sunk it.
But blacks were a small turnout for the total statewide vote. Was it 10% or less?
But it was.
I guess it was enough.
It was 70-30.
Latinos were split, too.
Latinos were split. Whites were slightly favored.
And Asians favored. Asians voted no.
And I find that really curious. You would think blacks would be sensitive to that kind of discrimination, and they're not. I mean, not that I'm expecting them to be any more noble and consistent than any other race, but when there is a particular group that is constantly complaining about being discriminated against, you'd think they'd be a little more understanding.
All right, quickly, Prop 5, thank God, lost heavily because that would have given us big problems. It was going to
There's a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Programs, right.
There's a get-out-of-jail-free card. If you committed a serious felony, you get out of it in a lot of cases by saying, I'm addicted to drugs, I'm drunk.
Prop 6, which was going to spend another $965 million a year on local law enforcement, the Safe Neighborhood Act failed. People saw that we don't need to spend more money on that one, and we didn't think you should. And these energy things failed, too. The T. Boone Pickens thing went down to defeat heavily, 60-40. As we mentioned, the gay marriage ban did pass, although that's being challenged. And the victims' rights proposition, which was one from Henry Nicholas, which would give victims a little more say in the whole process. That did pass. And redistricting passed. We'll see what effect that has. We will talk later about the makeup of the legislature.
Redistricting failed when Schwarzenegger pushed it in 2005, and it won yesterday, even though there was no campaign for it. Isn't that strange? He campaigned for it in 2005, lost. This year, no campaign, it won.
I wonder if that was a reaction people had to all of our budget problems. They finally thought we've got to do something different with the way the legislators compose.
I wonder if people read at all what's there.
It looks like they're going to pick up a couple of seats in the Assembly. The Democrats are. But they needed 6, right, John, to break the 2/3?
Yeah.
They may gain 2. And in the Senate, they might gain 1. Or perhaps
close.
2 seats.
It's really close.
1 seat, and that's the seat of former State Senator Tom McClintock, which right now is in a Democrat hand, but it's really close.
The Republican Party is becoming close to irrelevant in this state. I mean, it's coming close to extinction in terms of having any real power. All right, when we come back, Mike Corona, Eric Leonard's reporting, Don Heidel, main witness, Terry Elmer at the news now, John and Ken, KFI AM640, more stimulating talk radio.
Wednesday, November 5th.
KFI.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
News on the hour, on the half, and when it breaks.
64 KFI.
Voters say gays cannot get married.
I don't believe our Constitution to stand for the idea that we can discriminate against one group.
I'm Terry Rayoma. This is a 4 o'clock news. This is KFI, but Mayor Villaraigosa says it was the will of the people. Gay legal groups have asked the state Supreme Court to overturn it, saying voters don't have the authority to make this extreme change to the Constitution.